It's quite an interesting story about Eros and Psyche, but it's a retelling of the Greek myth. So I'll not read all of it. I'll read one chapter every day, every night rather,
Okay.
and then you just fall asleep. Okay? I will have to mute you because if you speak anything in between, I kind of get distracted. So you mute your own self. I can't do it. Got it. So here we go. Where is my screen? Huh. Now, this is a story about, it's a retelling of the Greek myth, Eros and Psyche, the first love story. The story of Eros and Psyche from the Greek myths into our self-created personal myths of love. Re-narrating the famous Greek myth between Eros, the god of love, romance, and sexual attraction, with Psyche, the mortal with beauty, divine beauty, grace, and perseverance, is an exercise in excavating a detailed observation of what really occurred then and is still acting upon us to notice in our human journey, bringing to the story the insights and nuances of the significance of such a story. Anyway, go jump straight into the story. No preamble, right? I can't see you because I'm reading. Okay. Once and twice, and now a hundredth moment in stories lived a king and queen in the ancient land of the Greeks. They were very happy to be blessed with three daughters, each prettier than the other. The first princess was lovely as the first dew on a rose petal. The second princess was as lovely as a bud slowly opening itself to the morning sun. But the third princess's beauty was so astoundingly great that it's not even possible for a teller of stories to contain in words. The best that can be said about her beauty was that even the goddesses of heaven would come to envy her, and that's what happens in this story. Let us stay in this mouth of a story and allow it to take us through its intricate designs into the belly of life and digest new fleeting perspective. What does it speak to us about today? How is a human experience shaped by the interpretation of this ancient story? This is a story of how true love is born out of beauty and envy, endurance and sacrifice. It is a story come to unearth some nuances of any self journeying through the labyrinth of life. It is a retelling of how events occurred during early creation of heaven, earth, and the underworld, and remain new enough in guiding us through the ages which have followed into how we experience love and beauty, spirit and soul, even today. A story comes on dancing feet, anklet tinkling mystery feet, leveling the ground with reason, to stay in its own dance and turn me into one, leveling the ground with reason. As it happened, much like us, the early humans also had the urge to shower admiration over a babe which was so exquisitely beautiful that no one could stop praising the little child's divine beauty and grace. And so the king and queen found themselves in awe of the beauty and radiance of the youngest child, and so did all the people of the kingdom, far and wide. Now we must remember here that this was the time when all of creation was still in its formative stage, and hence no one, not even the humans nor the gods, had encountered anything so celestial and new as the emotion and the power of love in a new and unknown form. Back then, love was invoked by the elements to shape their worlds in heaven, on earth, and the underworld equally. Love may have been experienced more as a physical phenomenon and not an emotional current. For example, a doe giving birth to a calf was seen as love, or a father teaching his son to hunt was considered an act of love, or a soldier killed at war was hailed as a sacrifice out of love for his country. Love between two people was not explored in its entirety, for the heart had not known true longing nor beauty. A man married a woman he found lovely, but also strong and enough of wife material, not just because a look at her made his heart flutter. A young woman would call it love, and she saw a potential mate who could well protect her and provide food and a safe home. Even the gods thought of love in ways of gaining alliance and allegiances. For though they were wrought with ample strength and grace, none had hardly been granted the humility to consider what service could beauty be brought to. What other uses may there be for the ephemeral yet powerful emotions of love? The mighty and gorgeous looking gods and goddesses of Greek mythology went about flaunting and using their beauty in service of power and controlling the humans as much as humans did in emulation, considering it divine order. Have you fallen asleep? Tick, 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 tick. Have you fallen asleep? I'm gonna make sure you
No,
fall.
I'm listening and thinking, and you know how there's so much about now. I think I'm sure you resonate, like how we talk about, like, love is like, you seek within and not look outward. Yeah, it's just thinking about that,
Great. So I'll
and
tell
I
you.
and then when you can hear me, no,
I can hear you. Okay.
yeah,
So
and
then
then
what
also
happens?
like
None
also
had.
like how
Hmm. Sorry.
also like how you were like saying, I don't know. I'm like it's there might be point, it might have valid point about how they express love through action, like through, the son and the the father go hunting or whatever. But I was thinking, I was, maybe I'm in a fancy land, thinking maybe they are more simple, and they also have some people who have more, raw emotions, and they actually feel. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah, it's an ongoing between like accepting reality and this fairy tale in my head. So it's like split. It's like,
mm,
yeah, they got to be like, there's this one part I thinking there's no freaking unconditional love, and then there's this part like, maybe some people are lucky enough that they might still exist,
mm.
like fairy tales. But yeah, like that. So yeah, that's interesting how, yeah, just make me think about a little bit. Yeah, and then I don't know. I was posting that picture, no, about, I bought some clothes, not some, just a set of clothes just before the lockdown, and I said, it almost serves no purpose, and I'm like, the purpose is kind of beauty, the longing and the seeking of beauty, but at the same time, it's just kind of almost like, I mean, it's give us joy to think about how, like, pretty things, but then,
Mm.
you know
Yeah.
under current circumstances, you just like, yeah, it helps, to distract you, but at the same time, you're just like, oh my god, there's so much other things to it's almost like between reality is that, yeah, there's so much other things, but then there's also this judging voice about, oh, come on, like that. So instead of putting me to sleep, you're waking me up. No, just kidding.
You go to sleep. I
Thinking.
have to still read you that first chapter and then I'll read you the second one. Okay. None had perhaps encountered the use of beauty as an offering for a quest of unity with something grander, in this case, the soul. Here, Psyche is personified as grace and Eros as soul. This story is about how beauty and grace strive to unite with soul and spirit of being human. I look forward to excavating a bit and dare to imagine what happens at the cusp of such a union in the landscape of eternity and existence. In this story, hardly anyone knew how to deal with divine beauty when they saw it, and hence did not know how to respond to it appropriately. How to engage with celestial beauty was not yet coded in their DNA. Hence, it was only natural that the third princess is subject to receiving an unnatural amount of attention, not just from her royal parents and relatives, but also from the citizens of her kingdom and from the neighboring kingdoms and their royal families as well. Even today, one sec, what is happening? Huh. Even today, we push our children to become objects of pleasure and ask them to dance and sing for our relatives and at talent shows. This leads to other dire situations in our times, like pedophilia and child trafficking, various other forms of child abuse. We will continue to find out what the third princess does with her share, a rather large share of beauty and grace. Even the birds and animals were heard purring and roaring, twittering and singing praises of the bountiful beauty of their princess. In other words, even nature was united in her being. Uh, are you there? Or somebody trying to enter? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And somebody is there.
No, it's just you and me.
No, that's connecting to audio. Someone. Moto G5 Plus.
Okay, let me check. Who is this? Let me check.
It's Moto G5 Plus. Unable to listen, whoever it is. She typed. The person typed unable to listen.
Oh, can you hear now?
The
I'm
person, I don't know who it is.
all
Who are
participants.
you? Can you type?
Can you
Can you
type your
type
name?
what's your name? But hang on, if he's not able to listen, who are you?
I've
Send.
typed.
Oh, okay.
I'm able to listen now. My name is Krishna.
Oh.
Prashant, can you hear now? Okay, great,
Yes.
welcome. So I'm continuing the story. It's a Greek myth, retelling of a Greek myth, which I have written some time back, and there are many chapters in it. Basically, it's about how love unites with soul. So psyche is love, a soul. Psyche is a mortal princess, and love is Eros, the god of love in Greek myth. So we are already a little bit inside, but I'll keep this video on Facebook and then you can listen to the earlier part and not miss out on the story. So even the birds and animals were heard purring and roaring, twittering and singing praises of the bountiful beauty of their princess. In other words, even nature was united in her being and took the form of magic by singing about her. I have questioned this notion several times of how can nature sing and dance? How can animals and birds respond in human ways? In the Indian myths, gods and goddesses have been described so deliciously to arouse sentiments of desire and worship. Was that the purpose of such evocative description of gods and nature, lover and mystery, so that we get conditioned to relate to it through our open sense of wonder and come alive in adoration and aspiration for that which our inner eye sees, so that we become what we see and the world becomes a little bit better? Well, everyone made a beeline to the king's palace to see for themselves the divine beauty that they had so heard of. As they came in and lay their eyes upon the radiant infant, their breath stopped and they gasped. How is it possible to hold amongst us mortals such infinite beauty? Is this even possible? It's like the sun along with 100 rainbows and the moon along with 1,000,000 stars and galaxies decided to descend on earth all at once and live amongst people, amongst us mortal. How can we contain such vast amounts of light and warmth and glow and nurturing and grace and magic? Disarmed with subconscious and unconscious thoughts such as these, people of that kingdom stood in awe, just as they did upon witnessing the herald of magnificent dawn skies or the mysterious starry nights. It was an auto response, nothing unintentional, just like that. Being early creation, man's mind may have been in its formative stages, like a 2-year-old's, innocently responding to life. Let's say only the primal brain may have been active. The faculties of complex thought were limited, along with the larger process of creation and existence, being in sync with it. Evoked with a sense of wonder and beauty, people became admirers of the little child. and treated her as extraordinarily as they did the dawn skies and cosmic starry nights. They showered her with unnecessary amounts of gifts and adulations. They went on for a long time, such that everyone began to compare her to the one and only perfect beauty of the goddess Venus. Now, that cannot be good news. The Greeks referred to their goddess as Venus, and Romans called her Aphrodite. And if you may, as Indians know her as Rati, Ramba, Parvati, all these goddesses, and there was Rati, the goddess of beauty. This young princess now receiving all the unnatural amounts of reverence for something she hardly understood, her beauty, an attribute that she was born with and did not acquire or develop or work hard for in any way. People venerated her. You know how? In South India? Oh, you are so pretty, so lovely and gorgeous, and even the goddess Venus's beauty pales before you. Oh, your beauty is so divine that it is worthy of worship. We say this to our lovers, don't we? The young princess could hardly understand what people meant by all this. And so people began to do just that. They began to literally worship her. Now, this is very interesting, and I love this distinction. What people meant by worshipping a mortal just like them is perhaps the same thing as it means today, that you are too beautiful for me to hold, for me to relate to, for me to find it comfortable to call my own or include in my daily life. Hence, the best I can do is to put you on an altar, on a pedestal, and admire you. A beauty so rare was treated as a treasure, much like gold and gems, the sun and sky, gods and mystery, to be adored and admired with little access to understanding it or celebrating it in ways more human or ordinary. It is difficult, no? Something beautiful. We don't know how to interact with it, how to engage with it. And the princess's divine beauty increased the popularity of the king amongst his subjects and increased his goodwill amongst his neighboring kingdoms. It did please the king and queen a great deal to see their daughter being loved and worshipped by one and all. Which parent won't? And hence they saw no need to intervene and stop such over the top practice of admiration. Mistaking admiration for love is a common blunder we all make even today. We never stop to ask, are you admiring me or you love me? Because love means you'll engage with me. You will ask questions, you will fight with me, you will show passion. But if you admire me, you'll keep on repeating like a parrot, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful. It's so silly. So, okay, the effect of all this on the young princess was quite debilitating. How should she respond to it? Young Psyche had grown accustomed to being polite like all daughters, and especially princesses are expected to. Hence, she accepted the gifts everyone offered with her inherent natural grace and poise. Thank you. One can assume that a young girl with natural aspirations to be desired by suitors and have boyfriends and find meaningful friendships experience internal discomfort and doubt over these practices. So we can pause for a minute and you can check if anything like this happens to you, that you come up with something interesting or beautiful or wonderful. And people don't know what to say about it. They'll say, no, if you're wearing a pretty dress, they'll say, ah, I'm very nice, lovely, you're looking beautiful. What you're looking for is it working? Is it accentuating my curves? Or is it good for this particular meeting? So unless you ask back, you don't get it. Anyway, so confused feelings of inauthenticity and dishonesty with her own self may have plagued her. The high quotient of poise and patience that she was born with allowed her to take this into stride and naturally do the right thing by her royal parents and her people. But nothing permitted her to do the right thing by herself. It was taken for granted. How can you not like it when the whole world admires you? How can you not be happy being worshipped? That's the highest ideal. First, one worships that one deems superior, creating a safe distance to engage with it at one's own pace of growth. Then there is hero worship, which expects the worshipped to rescue the worshipper. Some worshipper may prefer sucking up to the worship to gain favor and in that way feel safe and even loved. And then there is devotion and veneration, which is a commitment to the worship's life and actions, unconditionally administering trust and faith. And then there is the non-worshipper who does not have the need to look up to anything or anyone outside of him or her, and hence refuse to grow, evolve, or feel loved. There is none other worthy of being worshipped devotedly than a child. A child is a real, ordinary, and special part of the fabric of daily life that is offered as the unknown from the future, full of pure potential, and to which we have real, casual, and relaxed access to. Everything and everyone else is only a projection of the desires stemming from imagination and obscure needs of our own warped, demented, and broken human consciousness. So, actually, this story maps what happens to the human consciousness, to our psyche, which now we all agree to that this is what beauty is, this is grace, this is that. But it has happened over, it's evolved over generations. All these stories came in like Mahabharata, Ramayana, and these Greek myths and other myths, all of these creation myths and all came in to shape our psyche. Based on that, all the other stories are created. So it's like a formula, like masala movie का एक formula होता है, वैसे psyche develop करना, human consciousness develop करने की भी एक formula है. वो knowingly, unknowingly, actually very knowingly have been applied, and then it shapes us. So how do we do that? So that's what the story is all about. The first chapter will come to end soon. And then again tomorrow I will read the next chapter. So if you like, you can just jump in here. So this is here where hero worship may have developed roots in the ravines of human psyche. To worship someone who seems or is larger than life, a superhuman, is to aspire for these qualities in one's own self. However, when an overdose is taken, it falls by the side and becomes an escape route, grooming victimhood. Thus, we worshippers never growing even faint qualities of the one they worship, but instead become lazy ego feeders looking for some energy from the worshipped. However, when taken, the right dose of worship develops resonance in the worshipper and cultivates a participatory attitude. This imbibing even a wee bit of the qualities of the worship leads to increased levels of self esteem in the human psyche. With the shifts that occur from such an attitude, he or she evolves, grows into his own unique hero ness, and by default contributes in making this world a little better. Look at worshippers or admirers like Mandela, who enjoyed Gandhi's philosophy and led many others to true freedom. Now, a young girl experiences those familiar feelings of confusion and inner conflict, which we now conveniently call teenage angst. Was it her grace maturing into new forms along with the physical changes of becoming a woman, or was it the magnetizing of her beauty, of her destiny, that Psyche chose to honor her conflict by enduring them? It was natural for the young princess to experience abstract emotions of confusion and inner conflict. But since there was no one yet who recounted what it means to honor or even express such conflict, there were no right words or language to portray these emotions. The young princesses silently endured her plight and intuitively did what any living creature would, unconsciously carry on walking with this baggage on her shoulders or perhaps even in her heart. With the passing of each night, she felt lonelier and lonelier, for by putting someone on a pedestal was to also exclude that person from what everyone else her age practiced in daily life, which means there were no little children like her who wanted to play and laugh with her. Her sisters got called out to play and soon after go out for girls' nights and dates with young princes, but the third princess never ever got offered any such mundane pleasures. One day she asked her mother, the queen, "Mother, my sisters get called out to play. Why is it that no one calls me out? In fact, even my own sisters do not wish to play with me. They seem to mock me by saying, 'Oh, but we don't want your perfect porcelain beauty to get chipped in any way, dear little sister. Now, do we?' And then they laugh." Her mother could only explain, which many mothers have been telling their daughters ever since. "Everyone is just jealous of your perfect beauty, my dear. And look at your grace and magnificence." Hence they behave poorly. The queen could see on her daughter's face that there was certainly not a satisfying answer. So she added in for good measure, "My dear daughter, one day soon you will know how this gift of beauty will secure you the most handsome, brave, and rich husband. And that's all a woman should have concern with. On that day, everyone who has mocked you, including your sisters, will bite their tongues. and you will feel the satisfaction you are not able to feel today. Ah, how one wishes that were true. Through times that have followed, millions of daughters have sent themselves down this path and found this advice not holding much water. Even today, parents brainwash their daughters, readying them for erroneous things to look forward to in a fortunate union such as marriage. Well, luckily for Psyche, this explanation failed to lift her spirits. There was nothing she could do then, so she continued with her genetically coded old habit and to give audience to the visitors who came every day for several more years to follow. Then she grew into a young maiden with hair that danced with the clouds, and eyes that wrote poetry on the night stars, and skin that glistened like honey dew on rare orchid petals, and feet that made the bubbling brook hush in silence when she walked, hands that could caress a dying deer back to life, lips that stopped arrows in mid-air, and oh, that perfect proportion of her body that made even the gods of heaven lean down to feast upon with their eyes and soothe their souls. Beauty of gods and mortals have been described in many romantic forms in literature and daily worship songs and hymns. In many cultures, with evocative efficacy. In India, Lord Krishna's beauty is venerated in hymns and poems to indicate a hypnotic effect on one's mind. One day, I was gazing at a flower. My mind was filled with the beauty and radiance of the large pink blossom. I had no other thought in my mind, but found myself entirely belonging to the beauty of the flower in that moment. I think this part is very interesting. A sense of calm and peace came over me. I felt satisfied and deeply at ease. I smiled and wondered if beauty can evoke such calm and peace in me. Was I experiencing a union with the entire oneness? Is this what being complete and unified with all of life feels like? Perhaps this is why elaborate romantic descriptions of gods is available in most all cultures to evoke the presence of beauty and grace in our person and fine-tune our sensibilities to give us a taste of boundless ease and even bliss or satori. Anyway, one may reason that people were simply intimidated by such magnitude of beauty and grace which they had never encountered before, and thus it paralyzed them to dare to behave in any human way possible. It was not it was just not available to them to see such a majestic beauty as belonging to a mere mortal. मतलब साधारण इंसान. All that they had to compare a beauty with was in nature. The beautiful skies, the glorious flowers, birds and beasts, the astounding landscapes of the countryside, and of course the gods. Beauty of this flawless stature only belonged to something omniscient, something too large for human beings to comprehend. Hence, an poor mortal psyche was also condemned to receive the same treatment as did nature and gods of reverence, in other words, untouchability. We cannot touch because we cannot understand. Yeah. Besides, the mythic Greek humans had already witnessed what all powerful and gorgeous looking gods with whom the beauty of the princess so compared did to them. They had seen and experienced firsthand how the divine, perfectly beautiful gods were capable of. Either they could grant them wishes untold and rare, or cast upon them the most terrible of fates. They had powers like no humans could really match. Hence, humans had learned to keep gods or anything godlike at arm's length. And so we still continue to do. To appease and worship the gods or anything otherworldly is a way of keeping such entities within sight, agreeably charmed, but essentially out of our intimate lives, wretched or not. Hence, they unconsciously meted such treatment out to their unassuming victim, the princess, and treated her also like they treated the gods, for she did resemble them in so many ways, didn't she now? No wonder that this also led the people to naturally and unconsciously abandon their popular and reigning true goddess, Venus's temples. They neglected the ritual ceremonies and worships at her temple and simply began to ignore and forget the power of their one true goddess of love and beauty. Now, this cannot be good news. Chapter 2, Eros is born. What happens? How this boy Eros was born to Venus, and these are the big gods, like Brahma, Vishnu type of level of gods, So Eros was born to Venus, and what was the father's name? Hmm. Anyway, we'll see this tomorrow. So I think this is good enough. 33 minutes, perfect. You all should be able to go to sleep. You want to unmute and say something, sure. Krishna, you read about this on my page, is it? You put the
Yes,
link.
I just read on your page.
Which Krishna is this? The real Krishna?
Uh, Not
Chalo
real
बांसुरी
Krishna.
बजा दो.
No, I don't know how to do that.
Just pulling your leg. Are you the Krishna I know you?
Uh,
Have we met?
no, I'm following you on Facebook.
Acha,
So
which
I
city
read.
are you in?
Yeah. Uh, I'm from Pune.
Acha, you're from Pune only. And
Oh,
where you?
Pune only.
Pune only. Ah, Dennis, there's Dennis also over
Yeah.
here. And what do you do, Krishna?
No, I'm in Bombay.
I know Dennis is in Bombay, but I'm saying she's here in the Zoom chat with us. So I was introducing you. My voice is also bad.
I'm working with Citibank here in Pune.
Acha. Okay. So now, how do you spend your day with the lockdown? What do you do?
So I locked down at my hometown. So I have come here for some work. So I'm still at my hometown and working
Where
from
is,
here.
where is that? Where is your hometown?
It is Usmanabad near Solapur.
Acha. So as soon as the lockdown was announced, you went to your hometown.
No, I came before that. I wanted to come back, but I'm stuck here now.
And your family, your children, wife, or mother, father, whatever.
Everyone is here with me.
Acha. So you are happy. You are taken care of.
Yeah. Everyone is here with me. So
Okay. So you're not feeling lonely and all. So I started, as some people are not able to go to sleep. Like I can't sleep, but that's my normal habit. It's nothing to do with lockdown. I like the nights because it's peaceful. Everybody's rested. Nobody's going to call me. Nobody wants my attention. So I can peacefully do creative things. But हमारा तो ये पुराना आदत है. But generally people are feeling like restless and bored, and they've finished watching all the TV they can watch, and you need something like human engagement. So I thought रात को ये सब story वोरी बोलेंगे. How did you like the story?
yeah, it was good one.
अच्छा,
It's been long that I heard such a story.
अच्छा. What about you, Dennis? Has you gone to sleep,
I
Dennis?
like it, and I told you, I kind of make me start thinking, and then I liked how you were putting your thoughts in it, and it's cute. Yeah,
Yeah. I think there is a new perspective that I'm bringing, and
yeah,
that's why it's the retelling. So you tell it again because you're looking at new things in it. कि
yeah,
beauty का meaning क्या था? What is the meaning of beauty even today? What do we mean by beauty? So that's an exploration along with the
yeah.
story. These are
And I
insights.
like how, yeah, I like how you describing, the hair and the eyes and like all that. It's like really, yeah, it's
Thank
nice,
you.
really nice.
So whenever you're not feeling sleepy, come to this Zoom room. I am going to be telling stories more and more. Also, I'm
Okay.
going to, share my art processes. Like, why do I paint? I've never gone to painting school, and I'm painting since
Yeah.
35 years. And what is it? So, one word, it's the relationship we build with stuff is what we have to focus on. Like, okay, my
Mm.
relationship with my bike is wonderful, but my relationship with my bike, Krishna, maybe you're riding a bike, so I thought of a bike. You know, कि उससे मेरा नाता क्या है? You think of that space between you and that object or person. What is my relationship? What does that relationship feel like to me? Because the other person is saying it's different for me. Same thing. So those
Mm.
are the areas. Like if you're focusing on the relationship, I have with my art, then what does it do to inform my practice and what do I get out of it? Not just an artwork, but a lot more. So I wanted to share all of these things because suddenly मुझे लगा कि कल मैं मर गई तो what if I die tomorrow? I want to tell all these things and all these books I've written, hundreds of books, not hundreds, but a lot of work I've written, lot of things I've discovered. I have to tell the world. I have to leave it behind for my son.
Mm.
This time it really hit me that was enough of excuses. One day I will do it and one day I will bring my books out and I don't care. I'm just going to put it, I'm going to record this video and put it up somewhere where anyone can see it. So, there
Nice.
you are. Krishna's video is off. Krishna might be in bed, so he's a little shy man.
It's alright.
Are you
Well,
listening,
he's
Krishna?
back.
Okay, fine, chalo. So,
Oh, I
anything,
mute.
I appreciate that you joined me here and you listened and hopefully, Krishna, did you like the story?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you would like
I
to know
liked it.
more, please come tomorrow.
Yes, definitely.
We'll start it late
Thank
only. 11
you.
o'clock is when
Yeah.
people are not sleepy. And then we will listen to a song also. Sing with you.
Oh, so.
I'll sing you lullaby, you go to sleep. चंदा है तू मेरा सूरज है तू ओ मेरी आंखों का तारा है तू चंदा है तू मेरा सूरज है तू ओ मेरी आंखों का तारा है तू जीती हूँ मैं बस तुझे देख के इस टूटे दिल का सहारा है तू चंदा है तू मेरा सूरज है तू मन में रही पंछी गगन में उड़े Sweet dreams are made of these. Good night, good night, good night. Sweet dreams are made of these. Good night, good night, good night. All right. Chalo, so jao. I have to write the remaining part of the story. Chapter 7, 8, I still have to write. Okay, be good to yourself. Take care and don't take all this for granted, huh, Krishna? You know how people in the villages and all are, they say, कुछ नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं होता, चलो walk करके आते हैं. कुछ नहीं होता, थोड़ा handshake कर लेते हैं. Nothing doing. This is serious.
Yes.
And you notice how much we enjoy actually just being with our family, just being quiet. Just, Indians are very good at this. We should have no problem. हमको बोला जाओ जाके इधर उधर भाग दौड़ करो तो वो भी कर लेंगे हमको बोला घर में बैठे रहो कुछ मत करो वो भी कर लेंगे we are very good at adapting so make the most of it and just let the silence talk to you the silence tell you something and maybe you turn into a songwriter a poet or dancer or whatever let that inner child come out. Okay, and then hope to hear more about what happens. So I thought one place where we can all meet and just sort of hang out, but with a story. The rule is I talk more than you. But
That's
people have
always
spoiled,
anyway.
but people have spoiled me. They say that तुम अच्छा बोलती हो, तुम ही बोलो, हम चुप रहते हैं. And they all of them tell me that you sing so well, you talk so well, you have so many interesting things to tell. So you speak, we listen. So I said very good. That's all I want, right? Krishna is a good listener. See, he's quiet. He doesn't even say hmm. Okay, chalo.
All right then.
Sweet dreams. See you tomorrow.
I hope
Bye.
to see you tomorrow. Okay.
Bye, Denise. Bye, Krishna. Good night.
Good
Stay safe.
night. Good night, all.
Take care.
Yeah, take care. Yes.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.